And we are back. We've got Espanol, we've got London Mate, we've got Australia, we've got Matthew Berry, now we've got Denny Carter. And Denny, I made it the -150 favourite that you're going to be wearing a blazer on top of your T-shirt, but instead, no go.
No. Look, I'm done. I'm done with blazers. We don't do blazers around here anymore. I got the memo. I'm just in the shirt.
Good. Welcome to the happy hour. There you go. We appreciate that. Thank you for dressing down for us. We appreciate that. We're still working on Pat. Pat invested in his one blazer, so he's just like, I feel like he has to roll that out.
He does.
Whenever he can. So that was the Spanish language call of Laviska Shenault's touchdown.
They should just yell goal after the touchdown.
Well, what was great was Laviska. Like, I felt like, that Shakira song,
Yes.
Shakira. Like, I felt like that. Someone should put a beat to that call.
They should.
Laviska.
That was magnificent. Now, we're going to do a little segment, close it out or keep it open. And this is basically, are we starting or sitting this player this week? Not talking about cutting them, just starting or sitting.
Because we're in a bar, it's a happy hour, so this is along those themes. This is, right, Stephen D'Agostino came up with this bit entirely by himself with no help from anyone else, and we love it. Close it out or keep it open.
Now,
so, all right, Danny.
We were hoping that touchdown, or a lot of people would have been hoping that touchdown was going to DJ Moore, who's our first guy in this segment. Now, are you closing it out or keeping it open on the much maligned DJ Moore, Denny Carter?
Oh, I mean, it has been bleak for those who drafted DJ Moore as, the wide receiver 2, maybe even the wide receiver 1 if you went running back heavy. Nothing is good right now. Like he has a yards per route run under 1, which is just unimaginable. 5.1 yards per target through 3 games. That's way down from his career average. But it can possibly happen this week against what is probably the worst secondary in the NFL against the Cardinals. The Cardinals, 74% of the yards gained against the Cards this year have come through the air. That's the 5th highest rate in the league. Baker Mayfield is, by every measurement, the worst quarterback in the NFL at the moment. Perhaps he can be serviceable this week, not for fantasy purposes, but to generate some yards, some catches for DJ Moore. If it doesn't happen this week, I think that DJ Moore is probably close to droppable in 12-teamers.
Yeah, look, I'm with what Denny's saying here. I will tell you, so I ranked him at wide receiver 25, which is the lowest I think I've ever ranked DJ Moore in my career, right? I mean, so I'm as a mid-tier wide receiver 3, and I was in on him at the preseason. I have him as a top 12 wide receiver. I think most people did. Here's the positives about DJ Moore. And positives? There are positives.
Okay.
He's played at least 97% of the offensive snaps in every game, so he's out there on the field, right? So there's that, right? Among the Carolina wide receivers, he does have the most targets. Now it's 18. It's well below his career norms, but at least it's not like they're suddenly feeding Robbie Anderson or Laviska Shenault. Like, they are targeting him the most. They're just not connecting with him the most. Okay, but at least so he's on the field a lot. They're throwing it to him the most, and he's really freaking good. Just like DJ Moore hasn't stopped. It's been a struggle for Baker Mayfield, and I've seen some memes of This is Odell Beckham Jr.'s dad, putting YouTube video together for DJ Moore, on missed throws from Baker. But so I'm with Denny here. Is that my expectation here is that even though the over/under is 42.5 on BetMGM, so they're expecting a low-scoring game. Feels like they're going to have to keep up somewhat with the Arizona Cardinals. Denny's right; it's a bad defense. If not now, when DJ Moore. I'm still rolling him out there as a wide receiver 3. So I guess I am keeping it open.
Yep, I like that.
I'm doing. That's me playing along with the bit. That's
DJ Moore, he's supposed to be bad quarterback proof. That's his whole thing, that he did this with Sam Darnold. So he should be able to do it with Baker Mayfield. Now, Danny, you said that Baker Mayfield was the worst quarterback in the NFL. I think Davis Mills might have something to say about that. The next guy, Brandon Cooks, who has just 6 receptions on 17 targets the last 2 games. Danny, are you keeping it open or closing it out on Brandon Cooks?
I think you can keep it open only because if you look at Brandon Cooks' expected fantasy points. And I know that's cold comfort. I know no one plays in leagues that award expected fantasy points, but he's wide receiver 13, Brandon Cooks, in wide receiver expected points. He's wide receiver 58 in actual points. So I know that stings a little bit. And Davis Mills truly stinks. 5th lowest rate of catchable passes, has the lowest rate of passes that are considered on target through 3 games. But Brandon Cooks is still going to see, 8, maybe even 10 targets a game in this offense without much target competition. I don't know. I think you can still start him as like a wide receiver 3 in 12 teamers.
Which is where I have him ranked. I'm ranked at wide receiver 27, Denny. So we're right there together as well. 27% target share so far this season, which is nice. Now, again, they're bad targets, right? I mean, Davis has not been good, and they're playing the Chargers. But I think the Chargers got exposed a little bit last week. This game's in Houston, which is helpful, right? So it's going to be inside on the turf, which I think plays to Cook's strength as well. So do I feel good about keeping it open with Brandon Cooks? I don't. But given that we don't think the Chargers, assuming Herbert plays again, that we don't think the Chargers will have any issues moving the ball against Houston, they will probably have to throw. And hopefully, the positives of Cooks is he's getting a ton of targets, and all he needs is one.
Yep.
Like, that's the thing. Cooks is one of those players that all he needs is one play to make your day. Again, wide receiver 27, so I'm as a low-end wide receiver 3, but I am reluctantly keeping it open on Brandon Cooks this week. But yeah, he's similar to DJ Moore. Like, if you can't do it this week, man,
right.
All right, then
let the regression hit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, you talked about just needing to make one play. A guy who's only made one play all season is Jerry Jeudy. He had the 67-yard touchdown against Seattle in week 1. Outside of that, he's basically done nothing. Denny, keeping it open or closing it out on Jerry Jeudy?
I think, in a 12-teamer where you start 3 receivers, you can close it out this week. I think that you can do better. Jerry Jeudy has a 70% slot rate. He's running a lot of routes in the middle of the field. Traditionally, Russell Wilson really struggles on those throws in the middle of the field. He's much better, much more productive on those boundary throws, which we've seen with Cortland Sutton so far through 3 games. Jerry Jeudy is somewhat of an afterthought in this passing offense, a bad passing offense so far. So I think you can do better this week, even against the Raiders, who are bad.
You're 1,000% right, Denny. You should come on the show more often. I like it when people agree with me. This is he's spitting knowledge over here. He's dropping bombs. The fact of the matter is that like all three people we've talked about so far have something in common, right? Which is bad quarterback play. Baker Mayfield, Davis Mills, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's been brutal through 3 games, right? Like, if you didn't know he was Russell Wilson, if you just started watching football for the first time this year, it'd be like this guy's a backup, right? There's no way anyone's paying this guy $250 million, right? So, but there's a difference between DJ Moore and Brandon Cooks versus Jerry Jeudy, which is DJ Moore and Brandon Cooks have been fantasy useful. They've been fantasy stars in their time. Jerry Jeudy never has been. Jerry Jeudy is writing on nothing but, hey, he was awesome at Alabama. And there's a lot of guys that were awesome at Alabama, and just when they get to the pros, he's got 29 career games. Jerry Jeudy has 29 career games. He's got 4 touchdowns. He's got 4 touchdowns in 29 career games. He was on my preseason hate list because I was like, I get it. You guys love this huge, he's going inside the top 20 because you think this is a guy who was a wide receiver 55 last year. Cortland Sutton, at least, had been productive fantasy-wise with bad quarterback play. Cortland Sutton has a top 12 on a per-game basis season under his belt. Jerry Jeudy doesn't. So until I see it at any point in Jerry, to your point, he's got 1 play this season. So he's wide receiver 37 for me this week. I am closing it out on Jerry Jeudy.
Really fired up on Jerry Jeudy.
I just get annoyed all these Jerry Jeudy truthers, and you're like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, it's been 3 years. It's been 3 years. At some point, score something.
Yeah. I like it. Just quickly, I assume that we're all still starting Javonte Williams. Matthew, you go first.
Yeah, second most targets among Denver pass catchers. I mean, that's the problem is that, the struggles of Russell Wilson in that passing game have meant that he's dumped off to Javonte Williams. I'm at running back 14. Again, Melvin Gordon's getting a lot of usage, but I'm keeping it open. Javonte Williams is too good. And, listen, they're playing the Raiders, which resurrected Derrick Henry this past week, right? So you can run, obviously, on Las Vegas. Yes, keeping it open for Javonte Williams. He's just more of a running back 2 than the running back 1 that some people drafted him. I don't know where people were. Guys, Melvin Gordon's going to be a thing. Anyway.
Right. Yeah. Javonte Williams has 70% of the Broncos' backfield high-value touches. And by high-value touches, I mean receptions and touches inside the 10-yard line. So he has 70%. Melvin Gordon only has 25%. Now, I know Melvin Gordon does get some goal line touches, and that hurts Javonte. But Javonte will be fine. All of the peripheral stats, elusiveness and yards after contact, it's all in line with what we saw last year. Javonte Williams is still an outstanding running back who has a lot of upside, I think.
Yep, I like that, Danny. Now, a guy that's probably going
to get... Gordon, by the way, Gordon has dealt with injuries in his past, and like the talent of Javonte Williams is not in question. So, yeah, he's a running back 2 with running back 1 upside. 3
fumbles already for Melvin Gordon. Now, another guy who gets Matthew fired up. We'll start with you, Denny. Clyde EdwardsElaire, who had 0 rushing yards against the Indianapolis Colts. Are you closing out Clyde EdwardsElaire?
Yeah, look, we're closing it out. And I know that he's gotten by. I think he has 4 touchdowns through 3 games, and that looks nice in the box score. That's helped him look fantasy viable. But what we really have here is a backfield split. An ESPN reporter that covers the Chiefs said today that they will continue to split that backfield between Jerick McKinnon and Clyde EdwardsElaire. Against the Colts, they both backs had 7 carries. McKinnon ran more pass routes. I think this backfield is trending toward Jerick McKinnon going forward. He should be picked up in most 12-team leagues. And really, if you can sell high on CEH, which I don't know if you can, I mean, we all have access to the stats, right? But if you can, you do it now before the bottom falls out.
1,000%, Denny. Could not agree more. He is absolutely a sell high. Like so far this season, on the year, he's the 4th best running back in fantasy, despite the fact he's being outsnapped by Jerick McKinnon, despite the fact that last week he had 0 rushing yards. I think he had 7 rushing attempts and 0 yards, but he scored a touchdown. He had some receiving game usage, but I think McKinnon's the better receiving back. So, I mean, like if you're hanging your hat on Clyde EdwardsElaire based on the receiving game work, like he's going to be splitting that with Jerick McKinnon. Totally agree. McKinnon needs to be rostered in every 12-team league and deeper as well. I think CEH is a sell high if you have him. And this week he's merely a touchdown-dependent flex. He comes in at running back 28 for me in a game against that tough Tampa Bay run defense. That's Sunday night right here on NBC and Peacock. I'm a company man.
Only 22 carries so far for CEH. That's just not enough.
Just want to point out that neither Denny nor Jay mentioned that the game is available on NBC and Peacock this Sunday night.
I just assumed everybody knew.
No, it's fine. No, some of us love the company, and some of us are just just stealing money
all day
from NBC
Sunday
Universal.
Night.
It's fine. You're just sucking off the company teat. That's fine. It's fine. The two of you, I get it. It's fine. I'll keep the lights on. Don't you worry about it.
Incredible.
NBC, love the Peacock.
Incredible imagery. Go the Peacock. Just lastly on Clyde EdwardsElaire. Last year, you could throw the ball to running backs against the Tampa Bay defense. They gave up receiving yards to running backs. Not this year. This year, they are the best in the league at defending running backs in the passing game. Now, another guy who I think we all liked preseason, James Conner, who just hasn't seen the work, hasn't seen the efficiency so far. Denny, what are you doing with James Conner this week?
Well, he's banged up with the ankle, but he still leads the Arizona backfield with 42% of the rushing attempts. He has 14 targets in basically what amounts to 2.5 games. This Arizona offense under Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray typically produces tons of high-value touches, receptions, and touches inside the 10-yard line for running backs. I think once Conner gets back to full health, and hopefully that'll be sooner rather than later, I think that he gets all of those. He soaks up all of those high-value touches. You're still starting him. I think he can get by against the Panthers. Hopefully later in the season, he gets back to full health, and he's the workhorse there.
If I had CEH, I would offer the person who has James Conner in their league. Like I would make that trade immediately, and I do think that's one you might be able to get away with, right? It's just like, hey, CEH, he's healthy. Like James Conner, he's banged up. He's not really doing much. But I'd much rather have James Conner. To your point, he's used in the passing game. You look at their upcoming schedule: Carolina, Philadelphia, Seattle, New Orleans. Other than the Eagles, like those are 3 teams that don't really scare you. And against the Eagles, in theory, he should be involved in the passing game. That's the big thing, is that this is a guy who was top 10 in receiving yards among running backs last year. Everyone talks about the touchdowns, but the fact of the matter is James Conner's a true 3-down back so far. He's seen 15 or more touches in his 2 fully healthy games this year. This offense has to get better. I mean, like, again, without Rondale Moore, they've had no DeAndre Hopkins, but I'm with Denny here. It'll get better. He's still a bell cow running back in a league where there aren't a lot of bell cow running backs. I don't think he's forgotten how to play football. So while it's been tough for the entire Arizona offense, I'm still in on James Conner. I'm keeping it open.
Yep.
He's running back 17 for me this week.
There couldn't be a worse game script situation for James Conner so far.
No.
The Cardinals just go down by 1 million points every game. They're not in a position to run the ball. Expect that will change probably beginning this week, where it's basically a coin flip game against the Panthers. Now, a quarterback and a team that we often don't talk about on the Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry. Carson Wentz and the Washington Commanders, they play at the Dallas Cowboys.
I like this topic.
Yeah, Denny Carter. Are you starting Carson Wentz after what he did against Philadelphia on the weekend?
So no, I'm closing it out here,
Wow.
and it's not, and I'm sorry, Matthew, but it's not just because he struggled against the Eagles. I think that Wentz will be useful down the line in decent matchups or good matchups. This is not a good matchup. The Washington offensive line cannot protect him. We saw him go down 9 times against the Eagles last week. I think we're going to see more of the same here. Now, he will be useful because Washington is all in on the pass. They have the 4th highest pass rate over expected going into week 4. This is something that we could not have predicted, at least I could not have. And I think that there are no signs that they're trying to run a balanced offense here, which is good for Wentz. It's good for all the pass catchers there in Washington. Just not this week. This week, find a Jared Goff over Wentz this week.
You're 100% right on all of that, except for this, in terms of you said no one could predict this. Someone predicted. I talked about that they were going to be much more. Listen, I didn't think they'd be this pass happy, but I said they're going to be. I did say that, like, listen, I like Jahan Dotson. You made fun of me for how much I talked to Logan Thomas in the preseason. Just saying, like, look, this is going to be a much more pass happy offense because they truly believe, rightfully or wrongfully, they believe in Carson Wentz in Washington. I know a lot of that. I know a lot of the people on that coaching staff and that front office. They are believers in Carson Wentz, who's a professional quarterback. Like, he's a middle of the pack NFL quarterback, right? He's fine. Like, the reason they lost to Detroit was because of their defense. Like, they weren't beating Philadelphia. That's also not on Wentz. Yes, he took the 9 sacks, and some of those were on the offensive line. Some of them were on Wentz. He held the ball too long. But whatever. Like, the Eagles are just a significantly better team than pretty much everyone in the NFL, and obviously the Commanders. I would say this, though. He's right about, Denny, you're right about benching Carson Wentz this week. I'm absolutely closing it out this week when my love-hate list comes out next week, tomorrow, I should say. Wentz will be on the hate list. I'm at QB 19 this week. But I also agree with Denny that there will be useful weeks when the matchup is favorable. It's not against the Cowboys, who are 4th against the pass so far this year. I'm closing it out with Carson Wentz. But, yeah, I'm not dropping him because I do think that defense is brutal. They're going to be throwing a ton this year, and, yeah.
Good luck to Carson Wentz against Micah Parsons. All right, thank you, Denny Carter. Everyone follow Denny Carter at CDCarter13. And we will be back previewing some Week 4 matchups after this.
Nice job, Denny. Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.